Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are live. Day 3 of the lockdown. We don't know what to do with ourselves. And I invited a friend of mine, a person I know from a long time ago, to talk with me live. This is David Cassel. He's an actor, musician, clown, acrobat, and many, many other things.
Acrobat, not so much these days.
So we are live, and we need to start from somewhere.
Okay.
I usually start with people asking questions, but at the moment there is no live chat, so it's just the two of us. You ask me questions, I ask you questions, and we see where this goes.
All right.
I go first.
Okay, you go first.
How did you start?
Well, I was 16 years old, and I went to a summer drama camp where I learned some mime. And from that, I started doing mime shows kind of in shopping centers because I lived in Edmonton, Canada at the time, and it was summertime. So when I came back home, I did some stuff outside, and then I went to Quebec for a language exchange program. And on my way back, I got stuck in an airport. So there was an airstrike. All the air traffic controllers went on strike. And so I was stuck in this airport. I had $25 in my wallet or something, and my luggage had been lost. And there were literally thousands of people stranded in the airport. So I took out the juggling skills I'd learned that summer at the drama school and the mime routines. And the first time I did something, I was just juggling in a corner, and I did a neck catch. I was practicing a neck catch. So I was practicing by myself in a corner, and the ball sort of went up over me, and I had to turn around, and I caught it on the back of my neck, and then I threw it up, and I caught it in my hand, and there were literally just hundreds of people in front of me who just sort of launched into this applause, and I was just like, hi. And that's how it got started. Was I went, yeah, okay, and I did the show there, and I was trapped in the airport for like a week or something, and I was doing like 6-7 shows a day. I'd go to different corners every hour. There was a bit of a turnover. Some people were stranded. Some people were going and getting hotels, and so people were still coming in, but nobody could leave to get on other planes. So I just started doing stuff, and people started giving me money at the end of the show. That was like the first time I kind of went. I remember that first show. I was like. Right, so you enjoy that show? And they were like, yeah. And I said, so I'm stranded like you, and if you've got 25 cents or $1 you can give me, then here's I had this little Chivas Regal bag that I kept on my balls in. And so people started coming up and putting money in, and I had enough money to rent a small hotel room and to buy some food and to watch the coin-operated TV. So that's how I got started. How did you get started?
My start? Oh, dude, it was also money related. I recently had to remember all that, to write it in the stuff that I started writing. I started meeting a person on the street. I met this wonderful clown called Kenny. I hope I can get him to talk with me on one of these days. So I was a drama theater student. I didn't know that theater is also happening on the street. I didn't know that it could be a career, and my dreams were connected to TV and drama. But because this guy was doing one wonderful show. You see artists on the street, but some of them you just pass by. Like musicians that are not very awesome, that are not shining, you just pass by and you go on your way. Like to make a crowd, he knew how to build a show and all that, and I was mesmerized by that. How do you do that? How is this possible? How are you capable of holding this crowd for an hour and them looking at you and focusing on so small details and keeping yourself like, how is this happening? And this is how I started by just in his hat and said, dude, I like you. I would like to buy you a beer. I would like to talk to you a little bit more. I want to spend some time with you and so on. And this is how we started hanging out. In the Bulgaria, this is happening in Plovdiv in Bulgaria 13 years ago, more than 13 years ago.
Because you're from Bulgaria originally, right?
I am from Bulgaria, yeah. And then slowly, gradually, I got into his personal circle. We started doing stand-up together. I had several routines that I was doing with him, a couple of monologues, and we were doing bars and stuff. It was more stand-up related. It was not theater or street or clowning related. And because we would brainstorm together, I somehow just picked up on the logic and on the character, and it happened like really gradually for me. I cannot say, okay, from this moment on you are studying clowning. It didn't happen like that. I just picked it naturally with time with him. And later on, when I started traveling, I think, yeah, I met you actually 2008.
I think we were on the Busker bus, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah. And this was the moment where I was busking in Bulgaria, and for a couple of seasons, and then I realized, okay, now I need to change my stuff, and now I need to learn some more stuff. Therefore, I need to read and I need to educate myself about clowning and stuff. Then it happened that, okay, from now on you'd learn about this thing. Before that, it was a trial and mistake. Like you do something on the street, it doesn't work. You ask yourself why it doesn't work. The same. The next day you go out again and again and again and again until it works. You don't know why it works, and
until
so
you figure
on.
it out.
This is how it started for me. I have theater education.
I think it's how it starts for all of us. As do I. So we have a lot in common in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when I met you. You were one of the people that actually inspired me. We spent like a week together on this festival, and you were the one.
I remember.
You were the one that was constantly able to talk about performing and able to talk about techniques and stuff like this, and that was amazing for me because nobody else was sharing any information. It was like, yeah, kid, just figure it out on your own, you know.
Yeah,
and
you get a lot of that in this business. You get a lot of that. There's a lot of people out there who have figured it out and they don't want to share. And I've kind of always been of the mindset that we have to pass the torch to younger generations. You know, if what we're going to do is going to survive, and I do agree that you have to figure it out a lot on your own, but I think it's always helpful. I wish I would have had more people giving me advice. You know, as I was. But I was kind of at the beginning of this wave, and there weren't a lot of people doing it. I would run into them from time to time, but back then there was like one busker in every city, you know?
Yeah.
Now there's like 200 buskers in every city.
And still they don't share.
And I think that's got a lot to do with the society that we've been exposed to for the last 40 years. I neoliberalism took root, and I was part of a transitional generation
Mm.
because my education came to me for free, and it was like around the time I turned 25. Um, we discovered that everybody had to start paying for their education, which I found very odd. It was like the people who came before us got their education for free, paid for by the state, and then they used that education to kind of capitalize on it. So when performers wanted to learn something, you couldn't just go to school and just learn it. You had to get money to go and learn it, And then there was
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah. I'm not sure if you want to talk about those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I don't know where I'm going with this, as I say. Before the first two that I did on my own. So we are. There's no rules. We can talk about anything. But yeah,
We're
because
pioneering new territory.
exactly. We just have to figure out how to have the people now. So back to the story.
Hey, can you see if we've got any viewers right now?
Yeah, just yeah. I'm gonna open. I don't keep any other windows open. Yeah, 6 people watching. Okay.
Hello, 6 people. So glad you could join us today.
Yeah, 6.
I hope we're talking about things that are fascinating to you beyond the technical gobbledygook that we seem to be enduring at the moment.
Yeah. From in.
So yeah, I think it was interesting as a street performer. Sorry. I was going to talk, but then I thought maybe you wanted to talk. So
Yeah. Okay.
can you still hear me?
Yeah. I think we have technical difficulties. I'm still trying to
Oh, there for a
figure
moment.
out.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out with this mixer that I have. I have a microphone, but if I crank it up, where I want it, it sounds like a bathroom. Then I'm trying to get the effects on, but yeah. Anyway,
I'm only getting you in one ear. Like I'm only getting you in this ear. I
okay.
can't hear you beyond in my left ear, so and I can't hear myself at all, which is weird. I don't know why, but I have nothing of me in my cans, so I'm just listening to my own voice, like analog.
Cool.
It's not coming through the cans. I'm just like, I'm gonna pretend it is and talk in dulcet tones.
Just double it. I was really fascinated back then.
So we were talking about.
Back in the day, I was really fascinated about your show, The Space Commander. This is what I saw first. And can you tell the people what this was about?
Oh well, as a street performer, I like you. I come from a theatrical background, and from 1980 until about 1988, I was the artistic director of my own theater company. So I was putting on plays, writing original works, producing shows like Marat Sade, or original works like Reasonable Facsimile. I had a season of shows usually every year, and in the summer times, I'd produce usually an ensemble piece. I had one show called Precision, which was a 3-person drumming show based on a thing that I'd been exposed to back in the 70s called Chrome. They came out of Australia, and they were there for the Commonwealth Games opening ceremonies. And I remember seeing these guys. I think it was 1977, and there was like 10,000 people in Churchill Square in the center of Edmonton, and this group of 3 guys wearing these white costumes that were short on one side and long on the other. They had shaved heads with weird hair, wore sunglasses. They were just really weird, and they had this long chrome didgeridoo. So they marched through the crowd, and the crowd kind of opened up. So I was really inspired by these kinds of things. And when I ran my theater company, I sort of went in an avant-garde direction. And then sometime around 1987, all of the cultural funding got pulled in my province because it was an oil-based province, and they didn't see culture as being as much of an advantage as the previous government did. And I was born of a social government, and that's one of the reasons I got into the arts, was that they were trying to train young people to kind of set the tone for the future. And then in 1987, the funding got pulled out, and I ended up in Toronto working on a solo show, and at that time, it was called Hotcha Schmarzinski, the One Man Parade. So I used to dress up with a red nose, and I had a unicycle and a flag, and I had like a leather jacket, and I was like a punk clown, and I would come out with a bugle, ride my unicycle with my flag, and go, but the show evolved because once I got to Toronto, I realized that I was dealing with a much more sophisticated audience. And they weren't really going for my clown act. So I dropped the nose and I started writing numbers to music, and I called the show Hotch's 3D TV. And the show was like, I put it together kind of like a TV show. It was 1 minute, 30-second bits to music, sometimes a magic trick, sometimes an acrobatic move, lots of weird avant-garde statements about things like, I like the color red. I like the color red, but I respond badly to it. And then I just look at the red shirt and I would just go until they walked away. And it was like, oh God, I'm glad that's over, you know. And so that was what the show started out as, was just all of these, a lot of improvisational segments with a finale where I was standing on a guy juggling torches. And I did that for a while, but then I decided to play a superhero character. So he kind of morphed over those first 2 summers in 1989, 1990 into a superhero character. And in 1991, one of my friends said, you know, at the end of your show, if you're going to be a superhero, you should fly. And I was like, fly. And then it dawned on me, right? Yeah, theater school, we learned a trust exercise where you fell into the arms of people. You stood on a table, you fell backwards, and everybody caught you. And I thought, well, I'll just turn myself around and I'll get 10 people out of the audience to catch me. And instead of just falling, I'll actually like jump into the air and land in their arms. So I get them all to put their arms out. And it was like, it was a unique ending. A lot of jugglers were out at that time using high unicycles and juggling acts. And when I did this, I found that I had a bit of an edge, that people wanted to see this. So the show really became about social connectivity. That my theater roots taught me that my shows should, in some way, shape, or form, possess some social messaging. You know, deal with an issue or deal with a topic that the public would be interested in. And for me, the onset of neoliberalism and the onset of capitalism was kind of like teaching us all to be islands. And my show brought people together. That pretty soon, I had no juggling in my show. There was some acrobatics, but it was really a show about relationships and me meeting a woman and having a relationship. At the beginning, I'd only pick guys, but as history kind of advanced, women would say, why aren't you picking any women? And I'd be like, oh, you got a point there. So the show started evolving, and I would pick a 1 or 2 women as token women, and then there would be a discussion. Well, the reason that I'm picking more men is that women are not physically strong enough to hold me up. And then I get these big women coming out going, I am. And I'd be like, okay, you're in, you know. And so that's kind of how the show evolved. And then by 1995, I had the whole thing worked out, and that's when I picked up European Outdoor Performer of the Year. And from then, my career sort of went on for another 20 years. Yeah. So that's what happened for me.
Cool.
And you?
Me what?
Well, you know, I mean, I saw that I checked out your YouTube channel and saw that you have like 4,600 subscribers, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been at this less time than me. My channel's got like 700 subscribers or something ridiculously small. And you like thousands. I'm like, how do you do that? How did you get so many subscribers?
No. So how? So by the end of Busker Bus, like the third time I was at the end of Busker Bus, I said it like it's finished. It's not finished. It's still going on, I guess. I haven't been there, that's why I say that. So when I finished the third time Baskerbas, I decided to stay in Poland. I like Wrocław a lot. I found myself two spots that I perform, and I became one of the regulars there. And the pictures that you see on my Facebook and all the social media, they are from that time, because by that time I just stopped. After that, I just stopped trying to invest in promotional material and stuff like this. I was just working the street, and if somebody happened to shoot the video of the show, that would be just a random person. I would ask for the video, and 99.9% I wouldn't receive it. But in Wrocław, there was this YouTuber was shooting random stuff around the city square, and guess who was was several times in his videos.
You!
Yeah, and basically I don't know how he got to the point where his stuff get viral, but at some point I got hit by a girl. I was contacted by a girl that lives in Saudi Arabia, and she knew me from a video she was watching. And this woman sends me a link to an Arab YouTube account that was copying the Polish YouTube account, and this Arab YouTube account for a week now had 1.5 million hits. Everything was in Arab, everything was right, and I couldn't believe, and I sent this to the YouTuber, to Satori, and he was like, "No, that's not good. We're gonna claim it because this guy doesn't say who you are, doesn't say who I am, basically." And this was the first event that got my attention. That the show that is his production, I happened to be the person who is. It was his YouTube channel by that time, and I latched on his video, and by the time that I started I started watching the comments and stuff, it was already 1 million something on his
Crazy.
yeah. And after that, I started commenting. I started, by the way, if you want to see some more stuff, not only this show, but there is a lot of other locations and stuff, go to my YouTube channel. I started spamming people with funny messages, with stuff, and it slowly started building up. I still don't consider myself a YouTuber, man. This is not... I don't know. This is the first time. This now, what we're doing is the first effort on my own to do something directed to YouTube audience.
Welcome to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be a big star. You know, I've been at it for a couple of years, and like nobody. I mean, I got a small gathering. You know, I got maybe 50, 60 people who like watch my stuff, but I think that's part of it is that when I became a busker, excuse me, I was always kind of concerned about whether or not I'd be able to keep doing performance throughout the rest of my life. And back around 2012, I got cast in a Cirque du Soleil show, so I figured I was off the streets, you know.
Cool.
And then my contract ended kind of abruptly, and I had to go back to the streets. But I was living in America at the time, and I had to get out. So there was a whole bunch of complications. I won't go into it. Excuse me. But I ended up in Vancouver, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll start playing here, and I discovered there was all kinds of regulations in play that weren't going to let me do my show the way that I was used to doing my show. And that's when I got online and signed up with a micro gig site where I started producing music and videos for clients online. So it kind of became like busking online.
Busking
That people would
online.
come. Yeah, people would come, and it was I created a new personality called the Ukulele Bandito, and
Yeah.
I was available for people would contact me and go, I need a song for my daughter on her birthday, and I'd say, okay, well, send me some information about her, and
German.
they'd say how much, and I go $25. And so I'd write a song based on what they gave me. They give me $25 and I'd give them a 1 minute song. And this started happening quite a bit. And I'd had over 700 clients over 4 years. And it got bigger and bigger. Like a client would come to me and go, can you make a song that's 1 minute? And I go, yeah. And they go, and can you make a video? And I go, sure. And they go, how much? And I go, well, it's 25 for the song with the ukulele and 25 for the video. And so I get $50. And then as time went on, I'd go, you can have a bass. I can play bass on it. I can add some drums. I can add harmony lines for $25 per minute. So a person could get a 1 minute song with bass, ukulele, vocals, harmony, and drums for $100. And if they wanted a video, then I would charge them an additional $50. And then I had people coming to me, commercial clients who had, like, they wanted to do an ad. There was some people in Japan created a thing called Baby Love Pouch.
What?
It was a baby love pouch. It was like a reusable food container for baby food. And they were marketing it, and they needed an ad. So I got to do this ad, and I saw, I'm sitting there on a green screen going, baby love pouch for your kids. You can grind up the food and put it in. Go and get your baby love pouch. Something like that. I was like, and they would pay me like $250. And then I get these guys coming to me and saying, okay, we want the full thing. We want a 2 minute song, and we want you to play 3 characters. And pretty soon I was making $400 or $500 for a video. It was taking me like a week to make. And I found that I'd been able to replace my busking in real time with busking online and kind of having it work. That the more popular I became, the more clients I got, the more money I made. And that lasted until about 2017 when I got stabbed in the eye with a pipe. And I had to stop. Oh, look, my little girl's here. Hello, little girl. Mwah,
Aw.
Daddy.
I'm being asked a question. If you'll give me a moment, I have to service the child. Yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What can I do for you, baby? There's a latency. You can't see anything. What do you want? There's a broadcast going on right now. Turning the head. Yes. What do you want?
There's 2 boys there who are doing this with.
Okay, don't go out there. Remember that we have to social distance right now, okay?
Yeah.
I don't want you going anywhere near those boys. And if they've got guns in their hands,
Not real, that's great. They have Wasserpistolen.
water pistols. Okay, so you stay in the back, stay away from the young boys, okay? Remember, you tell everybody that you have to stay at least 2 meters away from them, okay? You're not allowed to be having contact with anybody. Yeah, kids, man. During a social distancing, you try and tell kids not to hang out together. It's impossible.
Yeah.
We have to be vigilant, but not if you're under the age of 8.
Yeah. No.
It's hard. It's really hard.
No
Yeah,
boyfriends
no boyfriends.
until 40.
Ever.
Ever.
No.
Hey, what happened
You'll have-
to your head? To your hand?
Oh, yeah. I woke up about 5 days ago with a small swelling on my pinky finger, and then I figured, oh, maybe I scratched it or something, and I waited until yesterday, and then I woke up this morning, and it was like the size of a plum, and
Nice.
purple, and oh yeah. So I kind of panicked a little bit because I need it to play, you know. And I can't play right now, which really sucks. I was going to play something on your show, and then this happened. I had to go for surgery today. So essentially, I went to the doctor. Here in Germany, where we've got a most excellent healthcare system, so I'm not too concerned about the coronavirus because we've got a social health system that's doing what it can to protect us. I know that I needed service. So I went to a doctor this morning at 10 o'clock, and by 12 o'clock, I had come out of a surgery from across town. So I went to the doctor. They set me up with an appointment across town. I went there. They put me straight into the room. They cut me up. They fixed everything, and they sent me home, and I was home by 15 minutes after 12. So that was pretty good. I'm very, very impressed with the German health system. Social medicine.
Cool.
It's going to do it, right? Yeah.
Cool.
Why a country would not have social medicine is beyond me, man. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait a minute. I know. Profits. Profits for private medical suppliers. Yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen there in U.S.?
With the we
switch to political stuff.
Well, I don't know if it's political stuff. I mean, this we are street performers, right?
Yeah.
And we're you and I are going through a period in history where we're not allowed to go to the streets and do what we do, which is spread the love and the joy and bring people together. This is about, in terms of my life story, it all comes to a crashing halt here and now because I always use the street to make up the shortfall when I don't have gigs. I go out, I make some money, I use it to operate my household, and now I don't have that. So when we talk about the politics of a thing, and you ask me what's happening in America right now, I think we can honestly say that countries that have an outdoor theater or street performance tradition are usually countries that have a more social government. Like I'm from Canada originally, and then I moved to Australia, and these were countries where there was socialized medicine, that profiting off of healthcare was not considered a good thing because it would mean that some would get it and some wouldn't. And here we are now at a point in history when social medicine has become kind of like the last stand before this virus. So we have centralized healthcare here in Germany and most European nations, which means that as the coronavirus crisis comes in, we've got a central health organization that is going to handle everything, the government of Germany. And in America, they chose not to pursue that. So what they have in America is a fractured system where they can't send out a singular message because there are so many private operators, and they've all got different ways of, charging people for money. And so I think, if I was to say it, I think America is going to be decimated by this because they just don't have the collective approach that you need through socialized medicine to get in front of a threat like this. I think I'm hoping that America after this will see the error of its ways, get rid of the whole privatized medical thing, and work towards a socialized system that protects everybody. Excuse me, that cough has got nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Yeah, I am also dragging something for 2 weeks already, and it is not corona. We're not sick.
No. It could have something to do.
We're just
we're
here.
Yeah, it's. Let us not talk about the other things that humans do to themselves that put them into physical peril.
I wanted to talk to you also about music, man. How many instruments do you play, actually?
Oh, well, I play keyboards. I can play piano. I play a ukulele. I can play the bass. Most everything I do now is MIDI, so my keyboard skills are what allow me to create my strings and my horns. There was a couple of times where I've picked up a trumpet or a slide trombone to see if I could do it, and I've come to the determination that yes, if I wanted to, I could probably play everything because once you understand one instrument, you start to understand all of them. So it really just becomes a financial obstacle that I can't go and buy a slide trombone because I love the sound of a slide trombone, and I know that I would use it in my songs and music if I had one. Same thing with a trumpet, a tuba. I love using tuba sounds, and I think to myself, it's always better to have the real instrument, the organic instrument, So I'm going to shamelessly plug my album, which is coming out on the 18th of April. I hope. I don't know. I have to finish it, and I can't play at the moment, which means I can't finish the album until my finger is better. And I've got a month. Yesterday was the 18th. So 18th April, I've got 20 new songs coming out on an album called The Yin and Yang of All Things. One side is the Ukulele Bandito, which is all my light and colorful, happy ukulele songs,
Okay.
and then on the other side is the Complainer Man project, which is all the songs where I complain about what's going on in the world.
Uh-huh.
So, and part of putting this album together is the orchestrations. I've really, on the Man side specifically, I've done a lot of orchestral arrangements where I've had to bring in strings and horns and different percussive elements. Sometimes I play the percussive elements live because I love percussion. So yeah, I think this project is really helping me to sort of expand my arrangement skills, my composing skills. And you do a lot of music as well, don't you? I think you have a
I
band even.
I do. I do. No, at the moment I'm not playing actively with anybody, but yeah, since I'm here, I have started a collection. I wanted to show off actually. There
Oh,
is a because there is a story to everything.
of course there is.
Have
Life
you
would be
ever
boring without stories.
have you ever bought an instrument that you just like? Have you ever had
Uh,
this moment where you see something and you want to buy it? Just I want to have it.
Yes, yes, I have those moments. Unfortunately, being a father means not being able to act on that impulse as much as I'd like. You kind of go, ah, it's beautiful. How much is it? 400 euros. Ah, it's skating lessons. That'll be skating lessons. What the hell is that? What is that?
Dude, this is it's come from the same country as you do. This is a Kinal short scale acoustic six-string bass. This
Wow,
is a
beautiful.
monster, man. I love it. I love the way it looks. I don't know. I'm gonna pull out and try to show it like the whole thing. This
It's
is
beautiful. Wow, it's gorgeous.
this
I
is
like it.
one guitar. I'm not a bass player. I used to play very few, like a very basic bass. But I just saw it and I said I have to have it.
It's a beautiful instrument, man. It's
And
beautiful.
it has its problems, but in the end, it's like now it's happy, but there is a it's wired as acoustic. So that's the Canadian beauty. That's
Beautiful.
the Bulgarian beauty. That's the classic guitar, which is thin line. It's very
Nice.
thin. It's
Okay.
it's a Cremona, which is almost 100 years old acoustic luthier company from Bulgaria, and they are producing exclusive guitars just for Bulgarian market and for Spanish market. No, actually, not in Bulgaria. They produce for U.S. and Spain only. That's it. If you go to their website, it's just this. And I happened to find a person in Bulgaria around Christmas that is selling this. And he turns out to be the person who is setting up the guitars inside the factory. So every time he gets a nice instrument, he just puts it aside, pays for it, he puts it aside, and he started to have a collection of 50. And he says, "I'm a bass player. I don't need
Has,
guitars."
he has no family, right? Like no family.
But probably.
His family is his instruments.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, look at my baby, my new baby. It's like you don't have to feed it or anything.
I wanted to have this guitar because my first guitar was Cremona. The guitar that I started to learn guitar and to play in bands and stuff, it was a beat up acoustic guitar that was broken here, like in this part. It was broken, like the neck was almost falling off. My father fixed it for me, and I had it kind of in tune. But it
Kind
was
of in
enough,
tune.
yeah, kind of in tune. It was enough back then to get you know, that part. So this is why when I saw this, I said, "Yep, we're gonna go." And the trip that I took was around Christmas. I got back in my country. And I took a trip with the car, which was 3 hours, how do you call this, detour? I
Yeah,
went
oh God,
to the
really?
south of the country. I got the guitar and I got back, like a full day adventure to go and pick up this one. Yeah. And
Wow. You love that machine.
yeah. And the last one that I just got, this is a Japanese copy of a 64 Strat. This is
Yeah.
have you heard of this brand? It's called Johnny Guitar. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. No,
So this happened
no,
to
I have
be
not heard of this.
by the end of the 70s, and all the big brands from US like Gibson and Fender, they got their production out in Japan, which by that time was very cheap to produce there. So labor was cheap, and they just gave the master guitars, the master models. They gave to several hundreds of different factories in Japan, and they said, "You produce these this way," and Japanese people are like, "Yes, we're going to produce them this way, and we're going to do," and they did at some point. From the quality, they started lowering the quality because of price. The Japanese didn't. And
Yeah, of course, that's what always happens.
the thing happened that the Japanese quality was much higher than American quality.
Than the
By the
original?
end of the 70s, by the end of the 90s, I'm not sure exactly where, I'm talking out of my head, but there was a moment where America had restricted importing of Japanese branded guitars in America because they were hurting the market. This guitar
that's funny.
at the moment, this guitar downstairs in the studio that we have, I have an American Strat, which is the original American Strat, which does not play nearly good enough. Nearly, how can I say this? This guitar sounds much better, much more open than the original. It was supposed to copy. You know? It's
Paradox.
one fifth or one of the and it was also this has this is the same guitar, the same kind of guitar that I bought a while ago. My first electric guitar was the same kind, a Japanese knockoff of Stratocaster Fender. So when I saw it online, I said, "Yep, you're coming here."
And now you got all your babies in one room.
And now I have my babies in my room. And the the funny thing is that I'm not a performer at the moment. I am a chef in a sushi restaurant in Basel.
Oh,
And I'm working, I'm not working full time, but still I am quite busy with work. And the rest of the day, the rest of the week that I have off, I try to relax and stuff, and I have less and less time for these. You know, now that I have them here, I cannot really enjoy them. At the moment that I have time, I don't have energy and will. But yeah,
Well, hopefully that'll change because those are some beautiful instruments you've got there, you know? And I think I'm really glad that I got music into my life. I was a late starter. I used to write songs back when I was younger, but I didn't really I didn't learn to play guitar, and I knew how to play piano when I was a kid, but there was a traumatic experience that made me want to quit, and then I quit. Even though I was like a grade 8 piano, I could play classical concertos and stuff when I was like 11 years old. But there was something happened to me, and my childhood story is quite an adventure. So I shut it all out, and then I found like 2 years ago, when I came to this wagon village where I live now, I built a small room on the front of my bus. I have this 88-key electric piano that's upstairs on top of my bus. I brought it down, and I decided to sit down for every day and just see what was in me. And I found it was amazing that sometimes I just sit there tinkle on the keys, and all of a sudden these musical things would come out of me that I remember playing when I was 10 years old, and I was like, oh man, it's still in there. And so for the next several months, I started going through things I could remember in my head. I started playing scales and triads and coming, doing small compositions and remembering inventions that I played, and started writing my own songs on the piano. I even wrote a song called I Want to Play the Piano. So, I kind of went, I'm going to make a song and I'm going to practice it every day, and it'll get me back to playing the piano. And it's like, I want to play the piano before I die, And so now I feel like I'm 58 years old now, and music in the last 8 years has kind of it's taken over my life. And I still do street shows, and I'm still self-employed to that degree. And I've moved it into music where I made money for a while, but I think that happens with every industry, is that eventually you kind of reach your peak. Mine happened to be commercial. I was making money by selling songs and videos to people, and I still do. My last project was a thing called Conservation Pays for a client in Florida, the Broward Water Partnership. They commissioned me to do 20 music videos, which I did a year ago, and they were all about climate change awareness. So I got to use these musical skills. I put together a musical theater number, if you're wondering what to do to conserve, I'm going to tell you, but you'll have to observe. And it was 4-part harmony, and everybody was dressed in 17th century costumes, and I did some beatboxing songs, and I pulled out all the stops and went, this may be the last thing I ever do.
Have you done
because
a
it was a
Corona
real
thing yet?
No, and I don't know. It's like, who isn't, right? Who isn't?
Yeah,
I did
summer hit.
Yeah, I did write a song. Let me just see if I can pull it up here, and maybe I can do it in a poetry kind of way. Hold on a second. Let me just find this new thing I wrote. It goes, God, I wish I could play for you right now. Maybe I can try. No, I'll just hurt myself.
Nah,
but it goes,
it's okay.
No, I'm not gonna. Yeah, but the song is, it's called. I go, well, the atmosphere is burning, and I feel my insides churning as I watch the Cheeto making his mess. The oil spills and endless kills give my head and heart the chills. This is a world of stupid, more or less. Well, the fighters keep on fighting, and the haters keep on hating, and the stupid people just keep saying yes. World it is still spinning, but now Mother Nature's winning. Humanity will have to acquiesce. Oh, planet Earth cannot be killed, but it looks like we will all be grilled, extinguished by our very own progress. The moneyed and the wealthy will all stay very healthy as Corona helps them pay their way to success. Something like that. So I use the word Corona in the song in one line, as opposed to being a song about Corona. The song's more about how we seem to be, on this collision course with extinction, through climate change and not changing the way that we live and not changing our habits, and everybody kind of going on and just doing it, going, nah, it's a farce. And then this virus shows up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, wow, okay, so now everything's been stopped, and the air is clearing over China, and the canals are clearing in Italy. And I wrote a song about climate change that has the word Corona in it, and I'm thinking I'll go back and I'll change one line or one verse to just sort of say that it took it took a plague to get us to come to our senses to shut down the planet for a while. Will that continue? That remains to be seen, because if quarantine gets lifted, people will probably want to go back to the way things were, and that's the worst possible thing we could do, right?
Yeah.
And so I write about it. I write about it in music. That bring me back to how we started this part of the conversation. I channel everything that I feel in my heart and in my head and what's going on around me in the world through my music. I think, as a lot of people do. This new album I've got coming out is very much like that. I've got a song about my daughter in it, called "Around the Corner," and it's all about how I believe my child is dealing with some issues that are fate confronting her, and there's other songs like "Extinction Level Event." I've got another song called "This Addiction Could Be Killing Me." It takes me to a warm place, and while we are embracing, the gases ignite, I'm reborn into flames, and the heat that's released from my feet into my brains leaves me ripped and torn. So all the songs are very much personal experiences, and I think it's always the best place for music to come from.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get to
I have some problems with the sound. I don't know if this is from you or from me. And yeah, anyway. Yeah, you mentioned your bus. You're living in a bus.
Yes, I live in a bus right now. Yeah. I bought the bus in 1995. It's a 1981 Leyland Cub handicap bus. It used to seat 26 people and 3 wheelchairs as it ran around the city of Hackney, delivering handicapped people to the destination. So I bought it in London a long time ago. I thought I'd keep it because I never knew if I was going to need it in the future as an old man. Would I have a house or not? I'd like to think that I was going to have a house, but if I didn't, I'd have this bus that I could fall back on, and boy, am I ever glad that I did. So I've got a series of videos coming out called
Wait. There is something serious happening with the feed from you. I'm gonna try to reset the whole thing.
Well, we've been on for an hour. We could probably wrap it up and do another day. I got to keep my hand up. We could probably sort out the technical issues too, because I should have unlimited bandwidth. There shouldn't be any problems. I've got to talk to my provider and find out what's going on, because my bandwidth seems to be really restricted, and I'm paying premium price. I'm paying premium price. I've got Telecom Mobile Magenta on my phone, which should allow me unlimited speed.
I'm hearing you.
I have to find out.
Now it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
it's hard to know. It's like
repeat the bus.
Oh, just saying. Yeah, the bus. I got the bus, and I'm really glad that I've got it, because now I live in it, and I'm trying to get to a situation where I see. It's true. I'd really like the property equation to reset itself. I think about our children, my children, the young people out there who wanted to buy homes, and how much money they have to make as opposed to how much money their parents had to make to have a home. And it just doesn't seem fair to me that there is this intergenerational tyranny going on, where older people bought up all the property and charged the younger people all these, incredible sums of money so that these older people can have pensions and retirement plans. And what happens to the kids? My daughter, she's 7, and what kind of job, when does she have to start working? Next year? Is she going to get better than minimum wage? Will she ever be able to own a house? My dad, he bought his house in 6 years. And when I got to Poland and saw, that capitalism had opened up there, they opened up and people had to get 40-year mortgages.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to be 20. You had to be 20, 25 and buying your house, so that you figured you might have something to live in when you're 60, 65. I mean, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have sworn, but that really is. It really is.
I have a friend who was jokingly saying the truth about if in Bulgaria, if he had to take a mortgage about the house, he had to work 257 years to pay up the house.
Yeah. So this bus is for... Yeah, so this bus for me is kind of the bridging vehicle because I've been in the business of culture and entertainment for 40 years, and after all that time, with the financial collapse of 2008, and doing business with corporations that choose not to be honest about the arrangements that they make. I mean, we've come to a point in history where nobody can trust anything, you know? I was talking about my internet connection. I subscribed 2 years ago for my internet connection, and it was full speed. I never had any problem. I was live streaming. Everything was cool. But we know that built into the rules of a telecommunications company that sells you a contract, they're going to slow your speed down in the second year. And it'll be in the fine print.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you go, well, I'm paying the same money, but the speed has gotten slower. And you go to them and they go, oh, well, you can buy a new contract now where the speed is faster, but it costs you $15 more a month. And you're like, well, no, why? And they go, because that's business. And you kind of go, this is unsustainable. It's unsustainable. And that's why I live in a bus now, is that in 2017 that we had some health problems, some dental problems, and we couldn't solve them without leaving the apartment, giving up the idea of paying rent to take care of ourselves physically. And to me, that's just like, wow, that's got to change. So I'm really hoping, as part of this reset that we're having, consider the property paradigm. There's going to be a lot of angry people out there who go, I invested in property and that's where all my money is. And it's like, well, I'm sorry that you decided to eat your own children for the future, but that's got to stop. And by owning property, they made a lot of people homeless. What's to say that they shouldn't be homeless now, so that people who were homeless can have homes? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's in the... Yeah, I don't want to touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what your program's about. I don't know what you want to talk about in your shows. We can talk about instruments and how nice they are, but I can't buy instruments.
Yeah.
Seriously.
What do you think the future of busking is going to be? Do you think that everything's going to move online?
Well, like I said, I went online and I went from analog to digital. I made that transition as a busker. It seemed to be the natural progression of things. I really don't know. I think that the golden era for busking and street performing was the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, before regulation came into play that started restricting performers, and before we also, and it's like everything, it's like when we started out, figuratively speaking, there was like 100 performers, and now there's 10,000, right? And so when that happens, the landscape changes. Regulations are put in place, because instead of one guy coming down and doing a show at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, you've got 16 people coming down to a space, juggling for spots that go from 5 p.m. until midnight, and the place is just awash with shows, which is not the way it used to be. So when you've got that kind of volume coming forward, you go, well, something's going to change. I'm sure that there will always be buskers and there will always be places to play, but the freedom that we experienced when I was 25 and 30 years old it's never going to be like that again. I really don't think so. And performing digitally and busking online, well, that's not the same, because you're looking at
a screen
connectivity that you're looking at a screen. And when we were doing street shows, there was 300-400 people standing around us, and when the show ended and you passed your hat, that crowd would collapse on you. People would come up, they would touch you, they would pat you on the back, they'd kiss you, they'd put money in your hat, and 5 minutes later they were gone. But if you take what's happening in busking today, people are going, well, I'm going to have card swipe, that you can come up and swipe your card, but people have to line up for that. It's like, no, that doesn't work. It was a round circle collapsing with all these hands going into a hat. Now you got a bunch of people waiting for half an hour to come up and swipe their card. It's like, what if the internet goes down, or you forgot your password, or there's a network outage? It's like, okay, sorry guys, nobody can give me any money. And you kind of go, well, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And when you take it online, everybody's doing that. I mean, now we've opened it up where there was 100 when I started, and there was 1,000, 30 years later. Now there's 1 million, and they're all online, and they're all doing podcasts, and they're all trying to make their mark online, because that's kind of the last frontier. I don't know what comes next, dude. I don't know what comes next. I'm excited to watch. I feel young inside. I might say that I'm 58 years old, but in my mind, I'm still 33, and I still operate like that. I still feel physically buoyant, and I still feel creatively engaged, and I'm looking for the next wave that I can get in front of because I've always seen myself as a trendsetter, and so I sit there and I go, what is the next wave? And it's interesting that you asked that question because I go, busking as we know it has passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but it has. It has. The idea that you could get on a plane, fly to a place, find a place to play that nobody had ever played before, gather 400 or 500 people and get them to give you money and then disappear. Well, that's gone.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And,
there's
it's
evolution.
Not only the people and the technology changes, and with this it's the regulations of everything.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, well, listen, Peter.
Life.
I've had a really good time today. My daughter's outside, and I got to check on her. But I'd love to have another conversation with you at some point in the future. Also, my hand is starting to ache now that the painkillers have gone off. So I should go and take my painkillers and leave my hand up for a while because I've been very like an idiot letting it go down, and I should keep it up.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this, man. It was really fun. We should do it again.
Man. We enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. I mean, I love talking to people, and thank you for being my first guest.
My pleasure.
In
I look forward.
That I don't know what it is yet.
Well, I look forward to watching the playback. So send me the link when the thing's online. We can go back and laugh at ourselves. And there's latency issues. Like I know that I'm watching myself. If I scratch my nose now, it's not going to happen for about another 15, 20 seconds. And when you're showing me the guitars, I'm like, you're talking about the guitar and as if you're showing it to me, but on the screen, you're still walking back to go get it. So I'm kind of having to preempt and go, oh, wow, great guitar, but I haven't actually seen it yet because the latency is like you're not even there with it yet. So we're going to have to get together and talk more about that. I'd like to do that to figure out what's going on. Yeah. I'm going to call up Telecom and find out what's going on with my bandwidth connection because I think that's got a lot to do with it.
Okay, man. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me give you a thumbs up. Okay. Oh, it hurts now.
Cool.
Look, there's blood. See it?
Ooh. Yeah.
I know. You're not going to be able to get viewers unless you got controversy on your channel.
Yeah. Okay. Squirt a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you later, man.
Bye-bye.
All right.